Hello everyone, my name is Gerald. Welcome to Studio Ploy. Modesty aside, we're proud to say that we love all our projects, but this one is a personal favorite because of the process that we went through towards finishing this. By far, this is one of the best, if not the best one-bedroom project that we've done here in our channel. We could probably say that this makeover was not an easy feat, as we put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get it done. Let's take it back from when I first received an email from Tito Z around December asking if I could take on updating their 51 square meter Rackwell property in Makati. Together with the email, they sent me these photos of their fully furnished unit. The furnishings were very much what Rackwell delivered, with few upgrades and the furniture that they bought in many years back. Though it's properly maintained, but the usual wear and tear of the furniture in this space has gotten it to look outdated. They wanted the unit to be upgraded from its current status, and they were very particular on what they wanted. No changing of layout, which is actually good for us since the makeover would not fall into major renovation. I asked them what were their preferred design style, and the answer was they wanted to have the same airy vibe that we've been doing on our projects, and it has to be simple and elegant. They also wanted almost the entire furniture to be replaced, and what's more exciting is we're doing custom pieces for the first time. I was ecstatic because it would mean I would be able to custom this style or design it myself, and most importantly, the scale and sizes of furniture, which are essential in creating a more cohesive space, referencing it to our previous projects. Though at first I was a bit hesitant in accepting this project because of the two reasons. One, it would go inside with our 2-bedroom project in Quezon City that we were transitioning at the time, and second, because it's a high-end property, they normally tend to be very strict when it comes to requirements, and that would mean longer time for us to finish it. But because Tito Z was very kind and very much willing to wait, plus the furniture customization, I finally decided to take on the task, and we agreed to start the project around March since they would still be using the unit the entire month of February while they're in Manila. Moving on to how I came up with the overall design, which I will be discussing fully during the makeover process, but just to give you the overview of the project, the design concept for this space, as they would repeatedly mention during our meeting, is simple and elegant. And from then, I thought of calling it Project Simple Opulence. I wanted the unit to have this classy minimalistic feel that is very contemporary, an interior that features design that are high on function and simplicity and low on collection and fuss. I wanted the space to have this timeless appeal. With our signature white paint, we would be repainting the unit with a brand new tone of white, which I think you would also love. And we'll be mixing it with some classic and interesting materials. We would be incorporating a lot of wood elements and the expensive timeless appeal of marble. We will also be adding new interior design trends that will be carefully placed for it to blend with the overall design. After a couple of meetings, we came into agreement, and they were very kind enough to entrust everything to me and authorize me as their representative since they needed to go back to the US for a few months and be back just in time for the reveal. I am very much excited for you to see the whole process in creating this masterpiece. So without any further delays, join me as I walk you through the makeover process from repainting to styling the space. Days after we signed the contract, we immediately went to our furniture and fabric suppliers to finalize all the details of our custom furniture so they can start with the production. This is very crucial because normally it would take them 8 to 10 weeks, and I wanted to have that extra time allowance in case there would be unexpected delays on its production and deliveries. The following day, we went to the unit to do some paint and material swatching, making sure we select the perfect tone of white paint that we wanted for this space so it would look cohesively together with all the other materials. I highly advise doing this for those going to DIY painting these spaces. Applying samples is an inexpensive way to get a great idea of how a new color will ultimately look. I also suggest to see how it looks during the daylight, at night, and with artificial light sources before making the final decision. This large framed mirror is one of the few pieces that I asked if we could keep because I wanted to upcycle it. My idea is to relocate it to the bedroom and make it look like a new window. One of the wish lists for this space is for it to look airy. These curtains that were installed in the living were, I believe, blackout curtains, and they coupled it with blackout blinds, making the space really dark. We are gonna be replacing it with a new blackout blinds, but this time, sheer for the curtains from end to end to create that expansive window illusion. We opt for sheer to filter the light coming in but not totally blacking it out, as I still wanted light coming in but diffused. This is going to be the first time that the unit gets renovated from when it was turned over to them. The space was actually well maintained and we only needed to rectify very few areas with thermal cracks and paint discolorations. Also with some areas that exhibit usual wear and tear, and the parts where we removed frames, curtains, and some other accessories. The original paint of this unit is in beige, and on the actual it has this pinkish effect, probably due to the red undertone to it. I find it disjointed with some furniture, like for example the cupboards here, which has a cooler undertone. It contributed to the overall feel of the space that it made some pieces look more outdated. Based on the swatching that we've done, our best pick for the wall paint is Worn White from Davis. It has this balance of a warm and cool undertone combined. It also has this classic elegant white paint vibe that would make us the perfect backdrop for our furniture and accessories. The existing kitchen countertop and bar area stone will not be replaced, and I have to make sure that the new paint would look more cohesive to it and elevated. We also repainted the bedroom with the same color except for the headboard part, as we are going to create it as the focal wall and would have a different treatment. Then we covered the entire apartment with 3 coats of paint, except for the living and dining area with only 2 coats to it, because we are still gonna be doing a very special wall treatment for those areas.
So, hindi tayo masyadong puno. Puno lang yung utak ni Elsa.
Our day started picking up some items from Home Depot, and because I was able to save on some stuffs, I decided to add another paneling works as a surprise element. There's too much negative space on the common wall adjacent to both the living and dining that I've been contemplating on adding something to it, though I was skeptical because we are also doing fluted wall opposite to it, but I decided I went for my gut feel. My idea is to create wainscoting with its classic elegant look that hopefully would perfectly blend with our fluted wall opposite to it and would make the space look bigger. We are doing it manually so we can save on expenses, and we don't have an extra budget yet for a miter saw, but glad I found this very affordable miter box with saw online to help us in getting those 45-degree cuts so we can keep the workmanship still polished. For the panelings, we are going to be using a 1" by 2" colonial casing that is already painted. This will be a no-nail installation, but we are using construction grade high-strength adhesive to keep our panelings in place. I'll probably be posting the full installation video for this in the coming weeks. We then started with the main horizontal panel, ideally dividing the height to thirds, then place it on the first 1/3 from the bottom, but since we already have some existing fixtures like the bar area, I have to adjust it a bit so it wouldn't look awkward with it. This protruding portion, which is the column, would be where our mock-up is to help us decide before we continue on doing the entire wall. But right after finishing the first panel, I went on getting the actual measurements for the rest of the panel so we can do the cuttings all at once. I went on replicating it to the entire wall and was ecstatic doing it because aside from it being my first time doing wainscoting, I myself was so amazed on how it is turning out and that my idea works out and turned out more than what I expected. But the work doesn't end there, as we still need to make those panelings look like it was casted to the wall from the very start. A day after, we went on filling those gaps with wall putty, and to remove those excess we used wet wipes. For the corner joints, we also did the same, but we keep a little excess to perfectly cover those gaps. Here's how it looked after putty application. Then the following day, we sand the excess to smoothen the surface and also to double check if there are still visible gaps to cover before repainting. I mentioned earlier that we only cover the living and dining area walls with 2 coats of paints initially, then another 2 coats will be applied after paneling works, because finishing it right away would mean painting the wall unnecessarily and excessively. By the way, we are using the same worn white paint to cover the entire wall. The next day, we had to go to our QC project first in the morning for the scheduled installation of the countertop and backsplash and some back jobs with our modular cabinets for our 2-bedroom project. Right after the installation, we went straight to Rockwell for the delivery of the fluted panels that we're gonna be using for our TV wall and a portion of the kitchen area. We are gonna be using the FlexiFlute half rounds in 20 cm diameter outwards. We needed to install the TV brackets first before the fluted panel installation, so it would be easier for us to measure and position where the cutouts would be. The following day, we then started installing the fluted panels. To make sure we reduce wastage of materials, we started doing the part wherein we can install the whole portion of the board. And some areas that needed careful attention, like this part wherein we needed to do 2 cutouts, one for the sprinkler mounted onto the wall and the portion wherein the TV bracket is. Installing this first panel is crucial, as this would set the entire install accuracy. We have to make sure that holes and cutouts are properly placed and our panels vertically aligned. We also have to do a couple of test fit, making sure its accuracy and that it's perfectly aligned before finally applying the adhesive and installing it, guided by our line level laser. For the adhesive, we are using the same construction grade similar to the first paneling work we did. These panels are quite thin and is lightweight and also a little fragile to handle, so we have to be very careful. We were only able to install the first 2 panel boards as it took us longer to make sure everything is properly leveled and installed. The next day, I am back to the usual one-man show. Elsa was not feeling good due to her usual monthly complex cycle controlled by female hormones, you know what I mean. And I had to finish this as we are already behind schedule after we added the wainscot paneling. The panels facing the living area are a bit short by a few inches, though the joints would be unnoticeable once we covered it with putty, but I still opted to have those joints at the bottom part because I wanted to eliminate the possibility of it getting noticed. It will look seamlessly perfect in the lower part, especially because it will also be covered by the TV bench. The next day, we started applying putty to the joints to make sure it would look perfectly seamless. We have to cover all the gaps and imperfections, including the terminations, for that really polished and high-end finish. The following day, we proceeded to sanding all the parts where we applied putty to smoothen the surface in preparation to painting. We have to repeat the same process until the joints are smooth and unnoticeable. For the paint, since the condo admin would not allow us using lacquer-based paints and doing some spray painting on site, we are again doing this manually using foam rollers and really fine brushes. The board is made of MDF, so we had to use an oil-based paint, but it should be non-toxic without fumes, or at least very minimal, because I have allergic rhinitis. We also consider the paint's durability and should have a high-end finish that we want to achieve for the space. We used this advanced primer from Benjamin Moore and Simply White in eggshell finish for the finishing paint, which is almost similar in tone to Worn White from Davis. It only took us 2 coats for the primer and 2 coats of the Simply White to fully cover this fluted wall. We needed to focus our work and our QC project for the next 3 days to finish the small bedroom that we would be featuring for a sponsored video. We have a little shelving situation here. This is a compact 2-bedroom unit. By the way, before we start with the tour, I thought of creating this video. We then went back Monday of the following week to start working on the kitchen. We have to remove all the cabinet doors and clear up the space as we're going to be repainting the entire cabinetry doors and replace the kitchen backsplash. I am taking photos of the items here so we would be able to return them as it is. This backsplash looks so busy and it's getting unnecessary attention than the other parts of the unit. I will be replacing it with a material that would look more cohesive with the other elements of the space. I also noticed this most of the time with most of the kitchen. This is just my personal opinion though, but it looks tacky to me having this part covered only to this level. If you wanted to cover it, why not do it up to the ceiling to make it look really nice and expensive? So we're removing that portion and just keep it painted. The next morning, this was week 6 of the renovation. Our custom furniture pieces that we pre-ordered are starting to come in. The first of the many is this 100cm diameter round dining table with fluted base that we ordered from Ren Marble. I then went back working on the backsplash. This was the part I mentioned earlier. We're covering it with putty, then we'll sand it and paint it the same color as the wall. I got the inspiration of our new backsplash from our Carrara marble dining table. I saw this hexagonal marble tile in Home Depot and bought one to see if it would look good together with the existing countertop. On the actual, it has the same grain similar to the color of the hexagonal tiles, so I decided to go for it. So while I'm doing the backsplash, I tasked Elsa to slightly sand the cabinet doors to improve its paint adhesion. A little trivia, I was only able to finish installing the tiles that don't need some cutting because we have a very small window of doing noise works here between 2 to 4 p.m. So I decided to do the cutting off-site at our place in Quezon City. To maximize our time, I then moved on to painting the kitchen cabinets. We covered it initially with the advanced primer from Benjamin Moore. Similar to the cabinetry doors, we also slightly sand this for that extra adhesive strength. We then proceed on painting the cabinet doors the same primer and sand it in between applications so we can achieve a smoother finish. After drying for 24 hours, we then applied the finishing coat. The cabinetry was originally in laminated wood in sort of natural ash, and for our paint, I wanted a really light warm gray instead of white for it to not look flat together with our already white walls. I went for Benjamin Moore's Edgecomb Gray. It's a gray with just the right amount of warmth to it and would look really nice and ties in together with our new backsplash and the existing countertop. I was instructing here the Lalamove driver to proceed to the basement and hand over the wallpaper to Elsa. Back to applying the finishing coat to the rest of the kitchen cabinets and cabinetry doors. It took us 3 coats until our desired finish, and since it's all based, we had to wait for 24 hours for each coat to dry. Two days after the final coat, making sure the paint is fully dry, we reinstalled back the cabinetry doors, replacing the original hinges with a new soft close hinges as per the client's request. We also replaced the old hardware with a new brass handles to perfectly match with other brass and gold element of the space. Then I went back installing the remaining small pieces that were cut offside, and then fill in those tile joints with grout and removing the excess with sponge. Moving next to the bathroom, we have very minimal wish list, from replacing some hardwares, upgrading the exhaust, to repainting and rectifying some damaged parts of the undersink cabinet. We are going to remove some of these unnecessary glass shelves and rearrange the towels and tissue holder for that minimalist look. We are going to also repaint the entire bathroom, the same white paint we used for the living, to brighten it since there's no window for the natural light to come in. A lot has happened to the bathroom, including Kuya accidentally damaging our exhaust that we needed to purchase a new one as it was already unrepairable, and another accident that brought us to our knees. Moving forward, we rectified the damaged parts of the undersink cabinet and repainted it with Edgecomb Gray, the same paint that we used for the kitchen cupboards. When I did the ocular for this unit and saw this bedroom, I felt something is lacking. The layout is irregular but lacks character, and you don't know where to look. The first thing you'll notice upon entrance is a bare wall. So I immediately had this idea of adding focal wall and thought of doing seamless wallpaper to create dimension to the bedroom. I had this wallpaper proposed to a project before that I've been wanting to incorporate to space, and I thought this would be the perfect project for it, that when I included to the proposal, the client immediately approved of it. I've done installing non-woven wallpaper mural in our previous project, and we'll just be doing the same procedure. We'll be using Mithylene paste again as our adhesive. In preparation, we have to cover the bed with drop cloth to protect it because we are not going to replace it together with our bedside table. We also have to double check the wallpaper first by mounting it to the wall to check if its dimension fits the wall before applying the adhesive. The wallpaper needs to be soaked with adhesive. Then we will also apply a generous amount of it to the wall so it's easier for us to do some adjustments. We have to make sure it's properly centered and vertically aligned because we only have a few centimeters of allowance on all sides. We also need to do reapplication of adhesive once everything is in place, especially the edges, to ensure it will durably stick to the wall. Here, I'm creating cutouts for the socket before it dries. We make sure it was covered before the initial part of the installation to avoid excess adhesive from getting inside the utility box. Then immediately proceeded cutting the excess while the adhesive is not yet fully dry, so it's easier for us to do some adjustments if needed. Then make sure to reapply adhesive again. We also have to make sure to remove all the excess adhesive using a rubber spatula, also for the wallpaper to be safe from scratches, while making sure no bubbles would form underneath. Great lighting creates depth and height, cozy spots, and draws attention to the areas you want to highlight. Around this time, we've finished already all the major work items like repainting works, backsplash and kitchen cabinet upgrade, and all the wall panelings, and we are only a week away from Tito Z's arrival from the US. We are starting with our light fixture install for the kitchen bar area by replacing the old pendant light that would perfectly complement our upgraded kitchen. We are replacing the old pendant lightings in the bar area to make it more cohesive with the overall design. We've also relocated it as the previous one was a bit off-centered. For the living, I found this suspension light from Lucendi. When we finalized the proposal for this project and saw this when I was looking for a light fixture, I knew that this would be the best fit. My only concern then was the budget, but luckily it is within our budget. The materials are a mix of brass and cotton thread, and its style perfectly fits our simple and elegant vibe. The next day would be our scheduled delivery of our potted plants and pull out of some remaining old stuffs. I asked Kuya Rainier again to help us with the delivery and pull out of the old side table, lamps, and mattress. Then we went back installing the chandelier for the dining room. The provision for the light fixture here was a little off-centered, and we wanted it to be directly on top of our dining table, so we adjusted it. We just need to make sure the wirings look invisible, which I won't be showing you how we did it. The location of the dining is located upon entrance to the unit and doesn't have a window close to it, so I went for a multi-bulb chandelier to brighten the space, but we went for the warm lighting for that cozy feel. This would be complemented with 3 tricolor pin lights, so we have the option of changing the mood on this area. We also replaced all the lighting fixtures in the bedroom that would perfectly complement its new look and feel. I went for these wall-mounted lamps to really make the headboard wall as a focal in the bedroom, and also its decorative touch. I like that it looked like a jewelry or an accessory that softens our dark wood bed frame and nightstand. My idea here is to make the bedroom look like a resort hotel room. This was a special request from Tita Marlene to install vanity lightings to her existing vanity mirror. We got this vanity lights fixtures, by the way, from IKEA. After, we went straight to Crate and Barrel to shop for the floor mirror and an area rug option in case our initial choice won't look cohesive with our living room furniture. So this was kinda spur of the moment. This was the last Sunday before the reveal, and around late afternoon when I went to the unit to execute my ideas for the painting while it's still fresh. Early on during moodboard creation, I already have some initial ideas for the paintings and artworks that I wanted to create for this space, but I would normally wait until the space are on the styling phase before I would finalize the artwork, as I would consider 2 things as my inspiration: the client's personality and the actual vibe of the space. For this project, I wanted to create a very simple abstract for the dining area, and I want that warm tone to perfectly blend with our wooden furniture. I would name this painting Sol, which is the Spanish word for the sun. Sun is often symbolized by a circle or a ball. For this painting, I created 2 suns together that represents Tito and Tita. It creates an infinite loop, and I would see them as the sun that always warm and bright. For the living room wall painting, this wasn't the original idea actually that I wanted to create for the space. The idea came as an accident when I was painting the side part of the first painting with black acrylic, and it spilled over to the floor and was trying to get the paint with the rubber spatula. It created this pattern similar to what I now replicate here. I thought it would be perfect for the space, as I wanted a really contrasting abstract painting for the living with its all white wall and panelings. I love how it turned out, creating an organic yet structured composition, evoking a sense of sophistication. For this sculptural piece, I thought of creating a boucle-inspired art from a towel that I soaked into plaster of Paris mixture then coated it with a mixture of putty and acrylic for its finishing coat and matte varnish to protect it. Finally, my favorite part of the makeover, the styling. This was the whole of 3 days before Tito's arrival and reveal. We are gonna be starting from the bedroom, installing this large framed mirror that was originally in the dining area that we repainted. I thought of installing it to the bedroom wall opposite to the dresser and beside the window so it would create an illusion of another window instead of just plain blank wall. We also keep the nightstand similar to the bed frame, but we are doing a simple upgrade to it with the new brass handle to also match with the other hardwares in the space. And into styling the bed and adding in accessories to our nightstand to complete the look. The custom credenza was a surprise element. I added this because I was able to save on some items. I requested for it without the wooden handle because I wanted it to be one of a kind. I would be installing a different brass handle to it that would tie up with the other pieces in the unit. I originally wanted to put an air rug for the dining, but aside from this one being too small, I don't see it complementing with the adjacent living room and looked overly done together. These were the custom chairs that we pre-ordered from Kasama early on. We originally wanted leather for it, unfortunately it would take us longer, so we went for this stain resistant fabric and it actually looked divine with our marble dining table. My initial idea for this area was a wall mirror, but because of the column, the mirror would be awkwardly placed, so we went on covering that part with a potted plant and went for a floor mirror instead. I love how it created a door effect that creates an interesting dimension to the space. This perfectly scaled, simple yet expensive looking deep-seated sofa is another custom piece for the space. This is inspired by the Mudo sofa. It was made to fit the living for that really nice proportions and comfort. I am so excited for you guys to see another Studio Play masterpiece. I hope you guys enjoy this one. Among the projects that we have done, this property holds a special spot as various techniques and keen details have been applied to achieve the most desirable design. The result obviously exhibit dimensions with better flowing space, providing a simple yet cohesive space without altering the existing floor layout. Also, there's an added touch of opulence by simply rearranging the furniture and fixtures, which are well thought of and reflective of the owner's identity and sense of style. These were all made possible due to the trust and special connection we have with our clients. Not only they become our friends, but more of an extended family as they have treated us nicely since day one. To cap it all, I would like to express my heartfelt appreciation to Tito Cesar and Tita Marlene for the trust reposed in me. We had lots of fun and learnings in doing this makeover. All the hard work, passion, and dedication that we poured into this project have translated into a beautiful masterpiece. Though this may be a year ago since its official turnover, the owner now decided to sell it as they would be permanently residing overseas. If any one of you is interested, kindly contact us through Studio Ploy Properties, details of which will be provided in the description box below. To those who were able to watch up to this point, thank you guys so much. I would really appreciate if you also click that like button. At this moment, we are only 11K away from reaching the 100K milestone. If you haven't already, please do also subscribe to our channel. It would greatly help us to continuously create and elevate our contents. To everyone, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one.